The Mini Tableau is one of my favorite spreads. I designed it during the creation of Under the Roses Lenormand, and it's a spread that's in between sizes of the 9-card square and the Grand Tableau. Well, the 9-card square is obviously 9 cards, and the Grand Tableau is 36 cards. Now there is another spread called the Mini Tableau, but that is almost all the cards in the deck, so I would rather jump right to the Grand Tableau if I'm going to do that. So what I designed is an 18-card spread, and what I love about it is I use half the deck, so later on I'll show you how to use houses. If you use houses, you can use the houses on the bottom and the reading on the top. It's fantastic. And it kind of plays on top of the 9-card spread I've already shown you. Also, we're going to touch on a couple of other spreads, but one of my favorite spreads is the element spread, and you'll see why when I present it to you. So my face is going to be out of the frame because I'm going to put the decks in front of you so I can point and show you where everything is, but you'll hear me talking. So remember that 9-card square that you read? And how we placed the central card in the center, and then we had the past and the future, the main timeline, the influencing cards on each side, the thoughts of the querent, and the major happenings of the querent. So if you pull this up from the Petit Tableau and you look at these center cards as the 9-card square, you're basically going to enhance your reading from that. So the corner cards are going to now be what we call like cornerstone cards, and this card become a reading, and this card and this card become a reading. And those are like the cornerstones of the situation, the person's life, you know. And it gives you a little bit of information about the picture on a bigger whole. So those influence that. This is also like the 5-card line, this line here. And if you're looking for connections, you know, you have longer connections. Also because the destiny cards create a longer column than what you've had before, okay? The destiny cards are really interesting. Now, the destiny cards are, I don't read them like that person's life is completely about these cards. To me, it's the destiny that's kind of involved in the situation. And in the Mini Tableau or Petit Tableau, I read them like I do a 3-card reading right here. So I have my subject card, my influencing card, and then I have my action card. Now you can also continue to read them like this card influences this card influences this card, especially if you do an 8x4x4, because you're going to have 4 cards in the center. But the main philosophy here is that these are about the destiny that's involved in the situation. So to add to the 9-card square, now everything you've learned about the 9-card square is present, right? But we're adding the corners, we're adding the length, we're adding the destiny cards. So this also can have a little bit of a trick with knighting. So if you go from the center card, and this is how you do knighting, it would just be just like if you played chess. So it'll be 1, 2, and 1 over, or 1, 2, 1 over, and those 2 cards would be your reading, okay? Or you'd go 1 down and 2 over, you'd get the same 2 cards. Alright, I don't usually do knighting inside of a Mini Tableau because it's very limited in size, but it is possible. So you can do that in this direction as well, and you can do this in this direction, but personally I don't like to do that just because they're the destiny cards and I read them specifically as destiny cards. If you want to use the Petit Tableau to run houses, this then would be the base, and you would put another layer of cards on top of it. These cards would not be read the way that we just read them. They would only be read as houses. If we lay out another set of cards on top. This would be the reading. And you can use the entire deck because there's 18 cards in this layout, and then you use it twice. So this is how it's read. This is the central card then, the moon, and it is in the house of the sun. Now the sun is not read with the card that's next to it, the stars. It is saying the area in which these things fall are in the bottom card, okay? Now you can use houses in different ways, but primarily I see them in the grand tableaus, which you can just use the simple numbering system for, which I'll show you when we get there, but you can also lay them out. I really like to use it with the Mini Tableau because of the amount of card numbers that I have, and because the reading then becomes way more intense than I started out with my 9-card reading. So before I close this section up, remember I told you that this sheet we were going to pretend was transparent. Well, I've actually got a transparent sheet here. We will use this in the other one too. And this shows you how to use it over the big spread. So if you have it, you know this is the significator card. You know that this is the present happenings. You know that this is the present thoughts. And if you just learn the sheet and move it around as you need to, this will end up being really handy for you, okay? Now, the mini decks are usually self-published. You won't find them in the store, but you'll get the idea. So here, these are just houses. I'm not going to read these other than individually as an area of life, okay? And then I put the reading on top. Oh, very interesting. So, oops, sorry, I knocked you around. Okay, so the central card, I go right to it, just like my 9-card square. Go right to it. I've got the house in the area of the stork, which I see right here. And to me, the stork is about momentous occasions or new beginnings. But this is not what I'm going to read. I'm going to read the house, which to me is about family, but it's in the house of momentous occasions or new beginnings. So that gives you a whole new idea of what this is about. If it's in that area, you have a better idea of what's going on. And then it moves into the house is influenced by the lilies, which is influenced by the ring. And of course they are in their own house, but it's not about reading the base cards together, it's reading the top cards together. These are simply a placement, like a pre-designated area of the life of someone's life, okay? Okay, this is gonna wiggle a little bit, but I really want to show you what is so cool about using houses. So if you look at this card, which is the sickle card in this deck, and it's often the scythe in decks, this card for me is about things cutting off, breakups, surgery, things like that. I see it as things being cut off or breakups a lot. So what's really cool about being in the house is that I now know the subject matter. So I know for sure this is a breakup that I'm dealing with here, and I know its placement in the spread, and it just gives me a ton of information by having the house there. I'm super clear. There's no question about it. Now the dog is above it, and the tip points to the dog. And if you listen to my tidbits section, you'll know that to me where this points is really important. So with the dog there's definitely a loyalty issue here. This is probably a friend of some sort, but now I know it's romantic or at least love related, for sure. Let's see. Oh, and the dog's in the coffin house. I wouldn't wonder, like, is this about a friendship? As soon as I saw that heart card, I would know there's love involved. So I just wanted to show you like how much it can enhance your reading to use houses. One of the neat tricks about using card placements is you can do a lot of fun things. So I have the copy of an insert card we have in Yuletide Lenormand, and you'll see that it's a wreath, and each slot it represents 1 month. And because there's 12 months in a year and there's 36 cards in a Lenormand deck, we're able to do a 3-card reading for each month. And what I do when Yule comes around, or Christmas, or the beginning of the year, is that I make my wreath and I simply shuffle and deal out 3 cards for each month. You can do this in a square, you can do this in blocks, you can do this however you like, but get 3 cards out and mark the months. And then after you've marked the months, after you've marked the months, write them all down. That way when you go back to look at them each month, you'll know which cards were where. Okay? Also, another handy dandy trick. Now for those of you that like the Celtic cross, this one's great. And it looks something like this. So typically you have a center card in a Celtic cross, but this is Lenormand deck. So you have 3. You can do the cross card the same way. And then you can go around your circle. I always start here, but everybody has their different thing. And then you go up, just like you would on a regular Celtic cross. And there you have it. So any tarot spread that you use, you can use with Lenormand. And you can't read them the same way, as long as there's not more than 12 placements, because the Lenormand deck is made up of 36 cards. And here we have 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? This also gives us a couple of extra cards if we want extra cards, or if you read the Celtic cross a little bit differently. So, but anyway, have fun with it and experiment with the different spreads you have. One of my very favorite tarot spreads is an element spread. And the way I do it when I read tarot is that I read earth, fire, air, and water. And when I'm done reading these cards together as a tarot, then I'll add a spirit card or connected card, and I'll read them how they're all connected together. Now, in use of tarot, if you read tarot, I'm looking for the directions of faces, I'm looking for lines to connect, I'm watching which suits are in which area. So if you don't read tarot, the different aspects of elements mean different things. And air means thoughts, or may mean thoughts. Earth means things that are material usually. Cups are usually emotional or spiritual, and wands are things that are desires and things like that. So what I do for my Lenormand readings is I take a piece of paper, yep, good old paper, and I fold it into 4s, and I write on the paper the different aspects of elements that I want to use. If I want to get fancy, I just put the ace of whatever pip it is on the paper to represent that, and it helps me identify with it visually. So I know I have earth, fire, air, and water. So now I'm going to take a Lenormand deck and I'm going to shuffle, and I am simply going to put out 3 cards for each element. Now I do not use the center card just because it's not my preference. So I don't do like a spirit card for this. I don't think it's really necessary because I get so much information from 3 cards. So I take one by one, I'll take different aspects of their life and we'll talk about the 3 cards that come out and see what's going on in that area of their life. Also, if somebody asks you how to improve something, a 3-card reading is a great way to get some answers in that direction. I hope you enjoy this spread and that you'll share with us any other spreads that you might use frequently in this way.